Most organizations, when they do a strategic plan, they build it on some assumptions about the future. And that works pretty well if the industry is basically stable and you can kind of predict the future. But what do you do in industries where there's lots of change and there's new technologies and things happening all the time and it's unstable? The only thing you really know when you make that forecast is that it's probably wrong. And so we've developed a new way of thinking about strategy, and a good example of this is the energy markets. For example, just a few years ago, most people were projecting that we would run out of natural gas in the United States. In fact, many companies spent billions of dollars building terminals to import natural gas. Well, as it turns out, of course, natural gas has become very, very much in abundance. And so the question is, could you have seen that? Could you have built a strategy such that you wouldn't spend billions of dollars on a LNG import terminal? Could you have known that? It actually turns out that you could have. If you had been looking at how the costs of getting shale gas out over the period between 2004 and 2007, you would have seen for the first time in 2007 that the cost of extracting shale was lower than the price at that point in time, and that there was a trend of those costs coming down. It actually turns out that the world didn't really notice that until 2010, but if you'd been watching, you would have seen it. So we've developed an approach that allows you to identify the key variables, then to monitor them as signposts. We develop some scenarios, and those scenarios allow you to do a number of things. First of all, as you start looking at that broad set of scenarios, it starts you to thinking about what can I do that will develop a strategy that is robust under multiple scenarios. So you develop a strategy that's robust no matter what. Secondly, you can build optionality into your strategy. Sometimes the option value, given the volatility of certain variables, make it so that perhaps you might want to build a plant with dual inputs. You might pay a little bit more, but it's worth it. And the third thing that this approach does is it allows you to kind of extend the headlights and see as much as 3 years out further than most of your competition is going to see. You're really working now with a dynamic strategy instead of a static strategy, and that turns out to be incredibly powerful.